Joining me now on the Women's Basketball Podcast is coach of the Miami Hurricanes, Tricia Cullop. How's the offseason been so far?
It's been great. I really like the new group that we brought in. I love the fact they're gelling, and I think we're a bigger, faster, stronger team than a year ago.
Obviously, last year did not go the way you wanted it to.
Yeah.
But I was kind of curious, what did you learn from year one in the ACC?
I think the biggest thing I learned is it's hard to put a team together in 3 weeks. When I first got the job, and the portal was open and it was difficult. But I think after having a year, I love my staff. I think our staff showed in a year what we could do. And that's we signed a top 10 high school class in the country. We signed arguably a top 15 portal class in the country. So you give us time and we can get it done. I think last year what I learned is it was just really tough. Good things don't happen quickly. It takes time. And so we had to spend that time really rolling up our sleeves in recruiting.
Yeah, I'm editorializing a bit here, but I think you guys signed one of the best portal classes out there. Just the number of players, and we'll get to some of those. Just considering how last season went, did you go into kind of that portal season with some things in mind, some things you wanted to target in terms of types of players or skill sets that would help you?
See, Nat Marshall and Cam Williams, we had to go after and get some kids that could help us inside. And so I think Tricia Cullop. What's great about Shay is I coached her aunt at Toledo, so I know the family. I'd watched her grow up. She was a natural. If we could get her, I wanted her because we played against her at the beginning of the season. I knew what she could do, and I thought I've watched her throughout her career only get better. So we're excited about her size inside. Jessica Peterson, I watched her. She played against us. She had 20 rebounds, I think, against us. I was tired of saying box out. I want to tell her to box out now. But I love how physical she plays. But we wanted dynamic guards too. And I think we got that in Gal Raviv. I think we got that in Vicky Blasai. I think we got that Amarachi Kimpson. And I could go on. But I think Gal Raviv is a very intelligent point guard. And it can really, really help us do some things because she can score too.
Yeah, Gal, I wanted to ask you about her specifically. Last year put up insane numbers at Quinnipiac. I mean, one of the best scorers in the country.
Yeah.
Then she goes overseas this summer to play at FIBA, and she's one of the best players in that tournament for Israel.
Yeah.
What does she bring to your team, and how have you seen her kind of develop in the short amount of time that you've been with her?
Well, number one, she's got an incredible IQ.
Yeah.
And I think that helps everybody because she can help the whole team learn because she sees things before they happen. Number two, she can score at all three levels. She's got a beautiful three-point shot, but yet she can score off the dribble. She's a playmaker. She's very unselfish. And the thing I'm really impressed with is she can also defend. She's not a kid that plays one end. So she really values both ends. She communicates. I just love her basketball IQ. I think she just brings so much to the table.
Yeah, and then you got another player, I think, who was in the ACC last year. You mentioned Jessica Peterson earlier, fourth nationally, and you
Incredible.
mentioned trying to box her out last year. I expect you hope that she gets a lot of boards for you this year.
Yeah, she's so strong, and she can face up or she can post up. But what I like is between Shay and Jess, and we'll play them together. But I think we're just so strong at both those positions. I think it's not going to be easy to move us. We've actually been working on facing double teams because we're going to have them.
Yeah.
But I love the fact, too, that both of them are unselfish, and when their double team can pass and help their teammates be better. But that gives us a legit low block and, I would say, high post threat. And the two of them together, they've got great chemistry. And the high-low game's a lot of fun to watch right now.
Yeah, this has kind of been a guard-heavy league in the past couple of years. You have so much depth inside, though. Do you think that might give you an advantage where you can go up against these teams and say, we're going to play big and try to stop us?
Yeah, I think one thing that was fun for us last year, Cam Williams was second in the league, I think, in field goal percentage. But we didn't get her the ball enough. I thought we could have fed her more. But the problem, when you look back, it is we were kind of small. It's hard to see by some of the bigger guards, and we missed her at times inside. Got some size, and our guards are taller. I'm hoping we can feed the ball and really kind of work inside out, but still play fast and take advantage of quick opportunities when our guards can beat people up the floor.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to ask you, there's a ton of turnover in the ACC this year.
Yeah.
Last season the ACC brought back 14 of its 20 all-conference selections. This year, just 8 of 25. Get 5 players who didn't graduate but transferred. What do you make of that sort of turnover in the league? Is that just kind of the state of the game right now?
I think it's the state of the game, but I think it also resonates with me how important relationships are. And it's hard because with the transfer portal, everybody's kind of a free agent every year. But I think that's where who you choose on your team, character-wise, really matters. The relationships of your staff, who works with you, because a head coach can't do it all. I think I've got an incredible staff, and I'm hoping that that's our secret weapon, is that we're going to recruit the right recipe, meaning kids who are team first, that are teammates, that are great leaders. And then I've got a staff that when they're having a bad day is going to help bring them back to earth and say everything's going to be okay and develop them to their highest aspirations. Gal Ravi wants to be a WNBA player. Let's get her there.
Yeah.
And I want her at the end of the day say, I picked the right staff to get me to my goals.
I've heard, it wasn't that long ago that college basketball was this place where you got players as a freshman and you develop them, and by the time they're a senior, they're great.
Yeah.
But now, you mentioned it, every year is like free agency. I've heard some people, characterize it as college basketball as a year-to-year proposition. Is it really like that, where like every year can be different, and you really just kind of have to plan for the team that you have right now?
Well, I think some of that's true.
Yeah.
But as I go back to, I just think that really emphasized to me the character and the values of the recruits that you go after, because if they're easily swayed, and they're going to be Switzerland every time there's a problem, that's not good.
Right.
That's why I like to watch players that are going through difficult times in their club seasons and their high school seasons to see, do they value that relationship? Because kids that are loyal, that work hard, and it doesn't mean they're not going to transfer, but I think it's important that you find people that do stay true to things when things get hard. But I will say this: there are instances I've seen in the country where a kid's just not going to play, and the portal's good for them. Let them go find a place that they can play. I think that part of it's good. Our goal is to try to keep this nucleus together of our returning players, because I think we got something special in the making. Yeah,
for sure. I wanted to kind of ask you some big picture sort of women's basketball questions. The ACC tournament this year, moving to Georgia from Greensboro. You'd like to see the tournament move around a little bit?
What's interesting is that obviously we narrowly missed it last year, so I never got a chance to experience Greensboro.
Yeah.
I'm all about Atlanta. I've got family there. I've got Danny Osho on my team as a freshman. He has family there.
Sure.
We're actually excited that we might get a bigger crowd in Atlanta than we would have maybe in Greensboro. Plus, I think just the even playing ground where some of those teams were closer to Greensboro. Obviously, Georgia Tech has an advantage now in Georgia, but not as many teams do.
Yeah.
And it's a little closer to us, so I'm not opposed to moving around a little bit and exposing different fans to our game.
Yeah, the home court advantage maybe for Georgia Tech, maybe for Clemson, but not the 4 North Carolina teams and Virginia Tech. Just up the road. There's been a lot of talk recently about expanding the NCAA tournament. Where do you kind of stand on that? What do you? Is it perfect the way it is? Should we add more teams?
I think every year we talk about there's some teams borderline that could have gotten in. I think you could make an argument 2 years ago Miami was that team. I think for that reason, I'm all about maybe giving other teams some opportunities. I don't want to see the tournament get watered down though. So I think there's a fine line of where you put that line of who needs to be in and who what. I'm okay with expanding. I don't think I'm in favor of expanding because then I don't think you get the same tournament we have today.
Yeah, one of the things I talked with Courtney Bankart about yesterday is like, okay, so you guys just got used to women's college basketball.
Yeah.
So if the tournament expands, do those pies get smaller or do they grow with the tournament? And I think that's a big concern.
I think it is a concern because we need those units to grow for women's basketball so that we're valued even more on our campuses. I think it's so crazy that the average person doesn't know, but for years a women's basketball coach won a national championship, got a pat on the back, and that was it. While millions were going back on the men's side. And so you can think about what is that value on a campus, right? So I'm so excited that we finally have units. I think that it brings a little bit more value to our game, and it should. Our game is growing astronomically, and we want the value of it to grow because then, it just helps everything. It helps people want to market our sport. And athletes want to be a part of it even more. But I do think it's exciting to even know that, hey, you might be able to help your campus a little bit more by bringing back some money. Yeah.
Speaking of money, we're in, it feels like every year we're saying this, right? We're in a new era with the portal and NIL. Now the House settlement is passed and we have rev share. How are you dealing with that inside your plan?
Well, I laughed because when I took the job, the players, one of their first questions to me is, do you believe in it? And I was like, yes. I mean, we're here. So if you don't believe in it, you're not going to do very well right now. So number one, I believe in it. I do think for years we've had we've sold things that have players' names and numbers on them, and the university's benefited and not the players. I've watched a lot of players go through college athletics that didn't have the funding to do maybe what an average student could do because they didn't come from that kind of social economic background.
Yeah.
So now that they have that opportunity, I think that's great. And obviously, some players are going to get a little bit more than others. I think, I've heard of numbers that are just astronomical, and I worry about a young person having that much. In the same vein, guess what? People are willing to pay it. That's their value.
That's the
So
market, right?
I would not be one to stand in their way because I do think that it's an opportunity for them to change their life and change their family's life. So I'm all about supporting them, and I think what we can do is continue to grow the women's game. I think the only thing I worry about with the settlement is that you got this big piece of pie, and the sliver that women's basketball gets is not very big. I hope that changes in the future because I think our sport's growing, and I would hate for this to stifle it.
Right. It's like kind of like a plant. It needs some water, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of just kind of the growth of women's basketball in terms of the audience and everything, 2028 Final Four. It's going to be in a football stadium.
Yeah.
When you heard that, what was your reaction?
I think we're there.
Yeah.
We've had sellouts. I think it's time to now take the next step. And so I think it's awesome. When I think back to all the environments, I've been to every Final Four since I was in college. So I've watched a lot of different situations. I think there's so much growth and excitement in our game. Why not? Why not expose more people to it?
Yeah. I'll get you out of here on this. If you were, pitching to your fan base, hey, come see us play, and here's why. What will the product you put on the floor this year look like?
I would say it's going to be a fast-paced, exciting game where we're going to press and try to cause turnovers and havoc on the defensive end. We're going to run and transition, so it's going to be exciting. We're going to have a lot of players involved. I think we've got a lot of great pieces. It will be fun to watch all these different players mold together. I think Shea Kyle is just one of the best post players in our league. She was the 13th best portal kid in the portal if you look at ESPNW. So I think we have an opportunity to play with a great post player, but we've also got exciting guards that can really pass and score, and it'll be a lot of fun to watch.
Gal and Roche on the pick and roll,
Gal and Shea, but also, Amarachi from UNLV, who I think scored around 25 points against Florida in WBIT. She almost single-handedly beat them. Victoria Blasai, who was on a USF team that beat Louisville. Beat Duke, took Louisville to the wire. So she's used to our league, and boy, can she shoot it. I just smile every time I think about the options of this team.
Yeah. All right. That is Miami coach Tricia Cullop joining us on the Women's Basketball Podcast. Best of luck this season.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Okay.